Legal notice first. Pursuant to Section 70 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, the November 13th, 2020 disaster proclamation and written determination of the Zoning Board of Appeals chair, a public hearing can be held by audio and video conference without a physical quorum. Due to public health concerns, this hearing is being conducted by audio-video conference. Please note this hearing may be continued and without further notice on the motion of the Zoning Board of Appeals. All interested persons that are in attendance today will be given the opportunity to be heard. This hearing is being recorded and live streamed at lakecountyil.gov/watch ZBA to allow members of the public the ability to watch in person. Also, members can watch at the Lake County Permit Facility, 500 West Winchester Road in Libertyville, and it's limited to the number of persons practicable in keeping with social distancing requirements. Board members, you'll be recognized if you want to raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, anyone *9 is to raise your virtual hand. We'll call on you, just allow for a short delay and we'll unmute you. And if board members could keep themselves muted and the general public muted during the hearing unless speaking, it'll prevent any undue interruption during the hearing. At this time, we'll ask Brad for a roll call to determine a quorum.
Member Hockney?
Here.
Member Peterson?
Here.
Member Raymond?
Here.
Member Rindo is currently not here. He's on the screen. He's currently not present audio-wise. Member Roche?
Here.
Member Starkey?
Here.
And Chair Kaplan?
Here.
We currently have 6 members present.
Sounds good. We will dispense with the pledge. Remind we have 2 hearings today and then a minor variation afterwards that I'll hear. I think we're going to start the order today is going to be 610, then 600 if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
Perfect. So we go in a little reverse order there. Please note, select items from the applicants as long as it add additional evidence provided by the applicants and members of the public ahead of the meeting may be presented via screen share during the course of the meeting. Physical evidence germane to the topics on today's agenda have been previously submitted. However, if there's additional items the petitioner members would like to have submitted, they may do so by raising their virtual hand. At this time, we will swear in anyone that's going to make any comments, staff, general public, contractors, etc. If you'd raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Perfect. Also, as part of the hearing agenda, members of the public were invited to submit written comments. Comments that were received by 8 a.m. today will be read during consideration of that item in the order they were received. Comments received during the hearing, but after the applicable agenda item is heard, will be held to the end of the hearing. Public in attendance that want to provide comment may do so by raising your virtual hand, and staff will call on you at the appropriate time. Questions or comments from the public may be heard after the presentation of evidence by the petitioner or their representative, and after members of the ZBA have had a chance to ask questions. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. So how it'll work, we'll have a staff report. After the staff report, we'll let anybody on the board ask any questions they might have. Then we will open it up to the petitioner to make comments. We'll go back to the board to ask any questions, and then after that, we'll have the public ask questions and then make any comments either for or against if there's anyone in attendance. So with that, I will turn it over to staff for ZBA case 610-2020.
Applicants seeking a variance have the burden of proving to the Zoning Board of Appeals that the required standards of the Lake County Code have been met, even if there is no objections to the variance. At the conclusion of today's case, the ZBA must make a finding of fact, identifying its reason for granting or denying the requested variances. This hearing may be continued and without further notice on the motion of the Zoning Board of Appeals. If the board does not reach a decision today, the case can be continued. Supporters and objectors should be prepared to participate in additional meetings. The board may require that the petitioner to meet certain conditions so that the use allowed by the variance will not have a negative impact on nearby properties. The applicant and the public will have the opportunity to make suggestions regarding appropriate conditions. If you would like to speak, please indicate by using the raise hand feature or typing your request in the chat box. Staff will call your name at the appropriate time during the ZBA meeting. Once your name is called, you must identify yourself for the public record and then address the remarks to the ZBA applicant or the PB&D staff. Please speak clearly and try to limit remarks directly to the matter under discussion. Speakers are called in the order they made the request to speak. Please be advised the initial public participation is limited to questions of applicant, ZBA, or staff. Any comments for or against will be made after the initial testimony. Additionally, there will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting for final comments. ZBA case number 000610-2020 is a variance request to reduce the front setback from 30 feet to 7 feet to allow for the construction of an addition to a single-family home. The applicants are Bernard and Jean Adolf, recorded owners. The property addresses are 35140 and 35136 North Milwaukee Avenue, Ingleside, Illinois, and are approximately a total of 0.37 acres, and together constitute a conforming zoning lot in the R3 zoning district. Legal notice for the case was published in the Daily Herald on November 23rd, 2020, and posted on the county website. Correspondence about the case has been received from the Lake County Divisions of Engineering, Building, Health, and Public Works. Representative Brian Birch will present the application today, and for the record, the original application is on file in the Zoning Board of Appeals office, and a copy of the applicant's original application and deed was provided to the Zoning Board of Appeals members prior to the hearing and made available to the public view on the county website under the ZBA agenda for this meeting.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tom. Any questions of staff before we turn it over to the applicant's representative? Seeing none. Member Reindl, did you join us yet? Just for the record, we'll see if we can hear you.
He is not.
He's not. Okay, sounds good. If he jumps in, let us know. Mr. Birch, we will turn it over to you for your presentation if you're ready.
I am ready.
Sounds good.
Good morning, board. My name is Brian Birch. I'm a licensed architect in the state of Illinois. I'm presenting the case this morning for Mr. and Mrs. Adolf. Let me first give you some information on myself. I am 76 years old. I have served almost one half of my life on zoning boards myself. I served 29 years on the Village of Lake Zurich Zoning Board, and I served 7 years before that on the Village of Deerfield Zoning Board. I still draw by hand, but I also am the original architect for this building. I don't plan on retiring until I go up there because I enjoy what I do. I was contracted, I first of all should say that in my, the building, the home originally was built in 1939. I was contracted in 1982 to add, either tear down the house or add an addition to it. And we selected to leave the building as it was. It was a one-story building. All of you have the site plans before you and my architectural working drawings. If you take a look at the site plan, I'll be making comments. As a member of the zoning board in Lake Zurich, I didn't always get a chance to go and visit the site. That's very difficult, I know now, but I studied and got to almost all of them, but I've had approximately 432 cases come before the board that I served on. When I first joined the zoning board in Lake Zurich, I was the only licensed architect on there. Everyone else worked for the post office. And I just want you to know that I'm familiar with the reason for zoning, the reason for zoning variances. And if there ever was a case where there was a hardship, I asked Mr. Adolf if I could present it today because I'm familiar with the site, having been the architect for the original building and the architect for this addition. If you look, I have before me today on the table, and I can hold them up. It may not work, but I just want you to know that these drawings right here, and I'm just showing you to show you that I have them. These are the original working drawings that were presented in 1982 for the addition. The title block reads alteration and addition for Mrs. Geneva E. Newman. Mrs. Newman passed away a few years ago. Her son took over the property, but anyone that knows that property out there in the area knows that Long Lake has long been a tremendous opportunity for people who love sailing. And almost every weekend during the summer, you can see boats racing on the lake. And it's been that way almost forever. I think this piece of property is the premier site on that lake. Mr. Adolf, I'll have him speak later to tell you how he acquired the site. But I just want you to know that those original drawings said on them alteration and addition. And if you look at the drawings that are before you now, in the title block, it says exactly the same thing. Excuse me, alterations and addition. If you, those of you that have visited the site, you will notice, and again, I'm going to hold something up for you, but you've been there, so you've seen it. This is a photograph that I took of the building when I started work in June of this year. And it is the south side of the house, and it shows the kitchen, which is only 7 feet wide. We're referring to it as a house, but it's always been referred to as a cottage. It has always been used on the weekends. No one has lived in it permanently until the Adolfs now do it. I think Mrs. Newman lived there for a while herself, but basically it was a cottage. And our intent with the addition now is to convert it from a cottage to a home. If you know that area out there and you traveled to get to the site, you'll know that you traveled almost on the beach, and houses on your right, their property lines were almost touching the sidewalk or the driveway. I'm positive that most of the homes in that area on the point, or even on Long Lake, on that side of the lake, have needed variances to even put garages on or change the house. And I doubt very much that any of those houses have what we call a footprint, allowing area for water to be dispersed into the ground and so forth. But the area is, neighbors are very close, and it's an architect's responsibility to make sure that those preservations are reserved. The Adolfs decided not to tear the building down. I would also state that if you take a look at the site plans before you, you will see there's a residence there. And on the original site, when I worked in, when I was 35 years old, and I'm 76 now, but I remember back then, I never saw it, but there was a house in the middle of the property that does show on my drawings at that time, but I never saw it. It was torn down prior to me being asked to work on the building. The main concern that I have is that the neighbors, of course, keep their views of the lake, and that the integrity of the character of the neighborhood and the surrounding properties be maintained. The variance, if you notice, has been reviewed by staff, and they, to a man or woman, have decided that they would approve this variance. As the architect, I can tell you that the Adolfs love this building. They owned the house next door and sold it. Mr. Adolf's dad lived in that house, as you'll hear, until he passed away recently, but he's sold it to his best friend. And he's the only one around there that doesn't have a garage in the area or close to the house. He's actually put into his, well, they explained that he has no garage and he has no kitchen other than a galley kitchen that is only 7 feet wide. And all we've done is added 8 feet to that. But in adding that 8 feet to the east side of the house, I have not extended the building any farther than it is now. And back when I was a young man, I can't remember where my keys are yesterday now, but at that time, I remember looking at the drawings that I put an addition on the second floor so that they had bedroom space. And that was a design effort to, again, make sure that the neighbors living south of the building had an opportunity to not have their view and their enjoyment of the reason why they live there disturbed. So I would say, you might say, why didn't he tear the house down when he obtained the property? I built the house next door before Mrs. Newman. Her daughter lived there. And then when her daughter and son-in-law were, or actually it was her son or daughter, but they got divorced and she bought the house back. So she had control of it. But it's the character of the neighborhood does not change from this addition. It merely allows, as you read in the paperwork, which I prepared for you, it allows the Adolfs to turn a weekend cottage into their permanent home. It doesn't have the size or character of the house that they just sold in Naperville, but they choose to live here amongst the neighbors that they have. Basically, I think those of you that have looked at it can realize that. I would also like to state, and I'll show one more picture. This is a picture that I took just maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago of the floodplain property, which Mr. Adolf pays taxes on, but is not buildable. He cleared all of the brush and cared for those trees. And it's almost a park-like setting now so that neighbors who go on the lake can look at, have the enjoyment of this, even though he cannot build on it. When I went out to the site and first saw it in 1981, the road that is on the right-hand side of the house that is a circle driveway in front of the house was not there. It came to the right side, it went all the way around the house and then returned back to the end of his property behind the other house that we built out there where the sewer and water lines were brought in. That was, those sewer and water system was built in the roadway at that time. And that's why we chose not to build to the left or the right. Also, some of the total piece of property to the north is in the floodplain, so it's unbuildable. And still, Mr. Adolf chose to spend quite a bit of money to alter that property to maintain it not only for his use, but for the visual abilities of his neighbors to see it. I don't think I have anything else to say other than all we added was a garage, 2-car garage with space for his boat. And so that it doesn't have to sit out there. And he has the same opportunity to protect his property that all neighbors have got. And that is the use of a garage. We only added a garage and we only added an 8-foot addition to the kitchen, which does not extend beyond the second floor addition. It's in fact in perfect alignment with it that we added in 1982. I think I would say that if you look at the property as I would look at it, were I in your position, and I have had more than 435 cases come before me while serving on the Lake Zurich and Deerfield Zoning Board. So I think I I know what a hardship is, and that's why I'm presenting it today. When I served on the board, both boards, my feeling was, and it's public knowledge, but it's never said, that as a zoning board member, I felt it was my responsibility to protect the property, the neighbor, and the law. And we were always concerned about allowing a variation that was not a hardship, would open us up to another applicant at a later date walking in with an attorney saying, you gave these people this, I have exactly the same condition and I want it, or I will file suit. The time that I served on those boards, none of those boards ever received any legal action for that kind of a case, because that is a very important thing in the mind of someone serving on the board. You don't want to give a variation unless it's necessary, but in this case, it prevents anyone else from using it because it's very unique. It's a one-time situation. At the present time, the distance from his house to Milwaukee Avenue, which is perhaps the reason for the zoning to begin with, is 200 feet. When we get done, it's still 176, which I think is much more than the 30 feet or whatever that may be required. And that purpose would be that should any government agency decide to widen Milwaukee Avenue into a 4-lane highway, there is sufficient room to do that. There still is. So this is a hardship on this family. The neighbors have not complained. One neighbor called and met with Mr. Adolf with a concern that he was going to build in the floodplain. She is totally in agreement. She's not filed a complaint. She's not here to complain, and we know of no neighbors who have any objections. That's my presentation to you, and I open up for questions.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Birch, and thanks for your service on Lake Zurich and Deerfield Zoning Board as well, and appreciate the history on the property. It's always good to have that too. With that, I will open it up to any board members that might have a question of Mr. Birch's testimony. We'll start with Member Hockney.
I have no questions.
Greg,
Sounds
just
good.
sorry to interrupt, but we do
Yep, go
have
ahead.
John available. He's always been on, but he should have audio now as well. So we'll need to swear him in before you call him.
Sounds good. Who did you say that was?
John Reindl.
Okay, but he doesn't need to be sworn in, so he's okay.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
since he's perfect. Thanks for the update. Member Peterson.
No questions. You gave a very thorough report and your schematics are very detailed oriented, and I appreciate your work ethic and your experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bria. Member Raymond.
First of all, I want to ask a personal question of the presenter. Do you have a twin brother by the name of Bruce?
Yes, I do, sir, and I've met you many times. I know who you are, and my brother and I are the only, to our present time, the only twin licensed architects in the United States. He is retired, and he is driving again after having a stroke, and he is retired from the business, so I keep him licensed, so in case I pass away, he can stamp my last set of drawings.
Okay. When I saw finally that the drawings were done by Birch, and Birch, I started to realize something. 35, 40 years ago, I hired you and your brother and your father to be my architects when I was still pastor at Holy Spirit Church in Lincolnshire. And so it's been 35 years since I've seen you. Looking over the drawings, I thought before I even knew who drew them, how precise they were. And I can see that even though you're as old as you are, but I'm still 10 years older than you are still very precise. I have no more questions, Brian, but please
Well,
say
if
hi to your
if you were to
family.
talk to my brother today, he would say I'm the good looking one. So I remember Holy Spirit Church. I remember you there. My dad's name is on it.
Ed,
It is on that building, and I'm very proud of it. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. Member Rindall. John, can you hear us there?
John, if you can hear us, you'll need to unmute yourself. I think if you press *6.
Member Rindall, *6 if you want to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll come back to you. We'll listen for you. Member Roche?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you very much for your very thorough description. It was nice.
That's good. Thanks, Maggie. Member Starkey?
I don't have any questions, just a quick comment that upon visiting the site, it certainly is very unique and wonderful, like the peninsula there, really you're surrounded by water there. So it's like a very interesting site. And I appreciate your very complete presentation and the drawings and the site plan.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Linda. And I don't have any other questions either. Again, appreciate one of the best set plans. Appreciate all the architectural drawings as well. And I think I see Member Rindall popped up. John, we can hear you. Do you have any questions?
Just one simple one out of curiosity. Did, in removal of the circle driveway years ago, did it require a permit at that time? And did you get one if you needed one?
I have to, again, I found my keys this morning. I'm still able to think and still draw, but I do not remember. I remember the circle driveway being there. I happened to be on site the day that the assessor for Lake County showed up. It was a lady, I don't remember her name, elderly lady with a cane. And she got out of the car and she said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Who are you?" And she said, "I'm the assessor for Lake County." And she said, her next comment to me, I will never forget. She said, "You know all the tricks." And the reason for that was the reason we did not tear the building down. We left the entire foundation. The one from 1939 is still there. One of our first jobs will be to open that crawl space. It's accessible and check the footings. But it's the original building, and the total length of that building it is now 81 years since that structure's been erected. When we get done with the work that we're doing now, it will be checked over. There's new heating and air conditioning going in, and it will be brand new for all practical purposes, but the taxes only went up $800 for that entire peninsula as a result of I'm not talking about the house next door, but the taxes for this building went up $800. And that's one of the reasons that I look at that very strongly. But if you were to tear the walls apart, you'd find that there's one original wall there, and that the entire floor, which we're going to look at very closely structurally, is the original floor of the building completely.
Thank you, sir. That was exactly what I was looking for in a history lesson. But I do appreciate your candor, and everything appears to be in order as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And again, I have no questions. It sounds like the majority of the members are okay with this. Mr. Birch, any closing comments before we close testimony and then go for a vote?
I would like to introduce and allow Mr. Adolf to say a few words. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Birch.
Good morning. My name is Bernard, and I'm here with my wife, Jeannie. Thank you for your consideration in this improvement to the home. We have decided to make it our permanent home now, and would enjoy adding the garage to the house as well as improving the kitchen, which would be our permanent home for my family. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today, too. Before we close testimony, I'm just going to go on one more time. If you're going to let us know feeling, board members, we'll start with Member Starkey.
no, I agree with the proposal and I have no problems with it.
Sounds good. Thanks. Member Roche.
I don't have any problems.
Okay, sounds good. John Reindl.
Favorable.
Sounds good. Member Raymond. Marv, can you hear us? Can we come back to you. Member Peterson?
No, everything looks good. I would have trouble cooking in a 7-foot kitchen too. So,
I agree with you. And Member Hockney?
Yeah, it's a beautiful site. I enjoyed the visit. I'm fine with it.
Sounds good. Thank you. With that, if there's no other closing comments, a motion would be in order to close testimony if someone would so move.
So moved.
second,
First from Denny, second from Maria. Any discussion? Brad will have a roll call on closing testimony.
Member Hockney,
Aye.
Member Peterson,
aye.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
Member Reindl,
Aye.
Member Roche,
Aye.
Member Starkey,
Aye.
Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
Testimony's closed.
Sounds good. With that, we will look for a motion then to approve this.
So moved.
Member Peterson makes the first.
Second.
Second, I think that was that Member Starkey?
Yes.
Perfect. And first and second, any discussion? And it does meet the standards as presented. And just add that it be consistent with the site plan accompanying the documentation that was presented today as part of that motion. With that, roll call, Brad.
Member Peterson,
Aye.
Member Starkey,
Aye.
Member Hockney,
Aye.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
Member Reindl,
Star 6, John.
Aye.
If you want-
aye from Member Reindl, Member Roche,
Aye.
Aye.
Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
Variations passed 7-0.
Sounds good. Mr. Adolf, good luck. Mr. Birch, continue with your good architectural work, and thanks again for your service, and wish you all the best as you continue with this project. Staff will be in touch with you, or you can be in touch with staff to move forward, but we appreciate the presentation today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next case, we'll give them a second to get ready for the members. It'll be 600-2020, and I believe Member Peterson, you are gonna sign off, I heard, because you might have just a possible conflict of interest.
Yes. So everyone have a wonderful holiday. We'll see you in the new year.
Sounds good.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Rest of you tight. We'll let the staff get set up there, and we will then go into 600-2020. We'll take a quick 3 or 4 minute break here.
Hey, Dave. Dave, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, not you, Dave. Dave Heredia. Sorry, I forgot you were there.
Eric, he is still on. He's muted right now, but just to everybody's still on.
Okay.
Staff, we all good on your end?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I
Sounds
think
good.
we're good to go.
Perfect. We'll come back to order then at about 10 to 10. Our petitioners are on, I assume. Are they in the room or are they on the phone?
So is Ken Bryant available, or are you going to be giving the presentation, Mr. Kowalski? He's muted. You're muted, Mr. Kowalski.
*6 to unmute Mr. Kowalski, or if you're online, just hit unmute.
He's in the upper right, yeah. Because my understanding was Ken Bryant was going to present for the application, but I don't see him on the list of people here. He's still muted. Yeah. Oh, wait. If you scroll down to the bottom right side of the image.
Here we go.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Kowalski, are you going to be giving the presentation?
I'm actually Ken Bryant.
Oh, you are. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Good.
Are you ready?
We're waiting for Greg, the chair. So
very well.
Sounds good. Were either of you sworn in the previous case by chance? Were you on the line? If not, do me a favor, just raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Sounds good. Thank you. Mr. Kowalski, we will turn it over to you, I believe, for the presentation of 600-2020.
I'll read. I have to read the introduction.
I'm sorry about that, Tom. Go ahead.
ZBA case 000-600-2020 is a variation request to 1, reduce the street setback from 30 feet to 12.43 to allow for the construction of a detached garage. 2, reduce the south side yard setback from 4 feet to 1.9 feet to allow for the construction of a detached garage. And 3, increase the maximum height for a detached garage from 12 feet to 13 feet at a 1.95 foot side yard setback. The applicant are Bryant, Kowalski, and Michele Lucks, aka Kowalski, recorded owners. The property address is 38457 Primrose Path, Spring Grove, Illinois, and is approximately 0.34 acres and is a non-conforming lot in the R1 zoning district. Legal notice for the case was published in the Daily Herald on November 23rd, 2020, and posted on the county website. Correspondence about the case was received from the Lake County Divisions of Engineering, Building and Health. Representative Ken Bryant will present the application today. And for the record, the original application is on file in the Zoning Board of Appeals office, and a copy of the applicant's original application and deed was provided to the ZBA board members prior to the hearing and made available for public view on the county website under the ZBA agenda for this hearing.
Sounds good. Thanks, Thomas. Didn't mean to forget about you. Any questions of staff from the board members? Hearing none. Mr. Bryant, now it's your turn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Morning. My name is Ken Bryant with River Valley Homes. I'm representing Michelle and Brian in this matter. They purchased their home in 2006. And as part of that, there was a variance that they were aware of for a garage. So all along, they believed that they had the variance for this garage. When they contacted me to build the garage, I, of course, saw that there was a foundation already in place and immediately went to the county to see, to pull permit records on it. And that's when we realized that there were no permits pulled for the foundation. So when researching, we found out that the variance for the garage was actually further back from its current location. It also included raising the house and having a breezeway between the garage and the existing home. That was done by the previous homeowner. So that previous homeowner then did not follow the variance that he received and put the foundation in a different location, closer to the street, and I believe a little closer to the south side property line. So we had to kind of start over at that point. In looking at this garage foundation and its current location, we've come to the conclusion that it is actually probably the best spot it can be in, given the fact that the septic is directly behind, well, not directly behind, it's 20 feet or so far back. There's a mature tree directly behind the current garage foundation. There's a utility pole that, if we were closer to the house with that foundation, would obstruct even entering the garage. We also contacted the neighbor to the south to try and adjust that property line so we didn't have to worry about the south side property line. But he wasn't willing to adjust that property line with us at all, which was fine. It's a strange property line because on the south side, the front corner of the garage is fine and meets the code requirements. On the back side, on the very back corners where it drops down to the 1.95. The height is really more about trying to get into the driveway, or into the garage, I'm sorry, with the, if you've come by, you've seen how steep the driveway is trying to get in. So obviously we want an 8-foot door on there. So I want to make sure that we've got a little bit of extra height to get an SUV through and not have to worry about hitting the top of a 7-foot garage door. So that's why we wanted that 13-foot height on the garage. I believe that is really about everything. This is really pretty straightforward. I hope that we've supplied all the information that you need. That's it. That's what we have.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. Bryant. Any questions? We'll start with board members. Any questions? We'll start with member Starkey on this one.
Thank you. We just got the other day the inspection report regarding the existing slab, and so that seems to be acceptable, or the county has approved that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then I guess my only other question was the accessory structure that's to the left of the house as you're looking at it.
Yes.
Was a variance granted for that? Because that seems closer to the front yard setback than the garage even would be.
I really don't know. That was there when my clients bought the home. So based on the previous variance, I don't think I saw that building on there. But I really can't answer that question with 100% certainty.
So I can answer. So that building has been there for, it's a non-conforming structure, but it's been there for over 20 years. So it was, I don't know why they didn't include that in the variance originally. It might have been that they intended on taking it down when they built their garage because it's a storage structure, but it's sort of a mystery. So.
Okay, I guess, yeah, I was looking for some clarification on that, why, you know, it just, I didn't see any other variances for that property. So is the intent to take down that storage structure once the garage is built?
The homeowners were not intending on taking down the storage structure. The garage is really intended to get their cars in there. And as you can see, the house is very small. If you went through, so storage is really a premium in this neighborhood with the small original structures. So they did intend on keeping it.
Okay, that was my question. Those were my questions. So.
Sounds good. Thanks, Linda. Member Roche.
I got a little confused when you said that it was such a steep entrance to the, would be such a steep entrance to the garage, because I thought when I drove by, I thought that it was rather flat if you're using the existing pad as the floor of the garage.
The garage floor itself is flat, of course, but the entrance coming in off of the road is actually fairly steep. You wouldn't be able to drive a standard car in there without hitting the front, skirting on the entrance of the garage. A couple of years back, the township raised the road 4 inches, which just added to the steepness of that entrance coming in. And so really just the height is so we can get an 8-foot garage door in, which is, really you need an 8-foot garage door on a flat surface just to get an SUV into your garage.
Okay, I guess I just missed that this weekend. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. Member Rindell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It looks like you've done an admirable job in what you've started with. The only concern I have was the south side of the property. You did indicate your neighbor's reluctance to sell. Would he have been just as reluctant to see you remove that side yard and split the difference between the north and south property lines?
He wasn't reluctant to sell. That was never our approach. He did not want to adjust the property line. He didn't see a need for it. I felt it was a very good idea. Obviously, the county felt it was a very good idea to straighten out that line all the way down to the channel in some way that benefited both parties. But he was not interested in taking part in it. The height requirement on the garage, that's really not to accommodate any oversized vehicles, is it? No, just an SUV. It's just an 8-foot garage door. So it's a standard size garage door, the 16 by 8. The next smallest one is a 16 by 7. And at that point, your everyday SUVs with a luggage rack will have a hard time getting under it, even on a flat surface.
Well, I appreciate your comments and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Member Raymond?
My first comment is that is the screwiest looking property line to the south I think I've ever seen. Is there any explanation as to how it got that way?
Yeah, actually there is. On the original plat of subdivision, I think it was in 1929, there was a road that was intended to go along the channel called Shore Drive that would have looped up right next to my client's property and connected to the road that's out in front of their house now. So that road was vacated. So that's why you have that crazy property line.
Okay, thank you very much. My next question is, my assumption is that when you would do snow plowing, you've pushed the snow to the east, which would be on the backside for that slab is. If you put a garage there, well, you're going to have some more snow somewhere. Where are you going to put it?
Well, I don't clear the snow here. I believe Brian's snow blows out towards his street and actually kind of across his street. His neighbor across the street has I don't even know if it's an open yard. I can't quite see it from here, but they kind of do that. They also go over towards where that accessory building's at, that shed. And the driveway, there's a driveway directly to the south of their property. And they use that driveway as well because the homeowner next door does not use that driveway.
Okay. Okay, that's basically all the questions I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Member Hockney.
Yeah, my only concern was the foundation. That's been answered. I don't know where else you'd build a garage on that site, so I have no other questions.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Denny. Only question I had was in regard to the property line too that John had asked about. It was a little weird there, but that made sense to me as he explained it. So thanks for explaining that one. Otherwise, I don't have anything either. Before we close testimony, any other comments that you might have?
No, I don't believe so. I believe that is it.
Okay, good. At this time, let's just go around and see how everybody feels before we close testimony. Member Hockney, how do you feel?
I'm good with it.
Sounds good. Member Raymond.
No problem.
Good deal. Member Roche.
No problem.
Very good. And Member Starkey.
No problem with the garage. And then I was just curious, how do we handle, the accessory structure, or since I'm somewhat new to the board, if we find something that's non-conforming, do we address it at this time, or how does that work?
Steph, you want to explain that to the rest of the board too?
Yeah, I can take a stab at that. So if it's a legal non-conforming structure, it's allowed to remain. They can keep it and maintain it. Depending on, sometimes we do, when we have these types of cases where they're applying for a variance for one structure, we will, the applicants will add on other variances to bring those non-conforming structures into compliance. Tom maybe can speak to why that wasn't. I don't remember why that wasn't done in this case, but the other thing to keep in mind is that legal non-conforming structures, accessory structures, if they're on a foundation, can be restored if they meet certain criteria. So if they're 10 feet from the front property line, 4 feet from the side property line, they can be replaced in the exact location as long as they're not expanded. So does that help answer your question?
Right. So I would imagine you've seen this before,
We have seen it before where there's other nonconformities on the property. Sometimes, we kind of bring those into compliance with additional variances. In other cases, we don't.
Okay. I'm fine with that then.
Sounds good. Thanks, Linda. I'm fine as well. No other questions. So a motion would be in order to close testimony at this time if someone would make that.
So moved.
So moved by Member E.
Second.
Second by Member Hockney. Any discussion? Roll call, Brad.
Member Starkey,
Aye.
Member Hockney,
Aye.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
Member Rindle,
Aye.
Member Roche,
Aye.
and Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
Testimony is closed.
Sounds good. And now we'll look for a motion. And if you could read off the 3 individual action requests on there, and then also whoever makes the motion, if you could also reference that it be limited to the site plan as presented today and based on the testimony from today as well.
I would make a motion to grant the prayer of the petitioner to reduce the side yard setback from 30 feet to 12.43 feet to allow for the construction of a detached garage. Number 2, to reduce the south side setback from 4 feet to 1.95 feet to allow for the construction of the detached garage. Increase the maximum height for the detached garage from 12 feet to 13 feet at 195 foot side yard setback. As long as the garage door height doesn't all of a sudden magically increase to accommodate larger vehicles, I would be favorable to it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good, John. Just to clarify, that first one was to reduce the street setback, not the side setback, correct?
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you. Motion from member Reindl. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from member Hockney. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Brad?
Member Rindle,
Aye.
member Hockney,
Aye.
member Raymond,
Aye.
member Roche,
Aye.
member Starkey,
Aye.
Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
The variations are passed 6-0.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good luck with the project. For your testimony today. Feel free to be in touch with staff if you have any follow-up questions, or they'll be in touch with you as well. Board members, before we adjourn, staff, any comments on January? As a reminder, per diem sheets, if you get those to Brad today too, remember to put your address on there as well. You can email those over, and then staff, I'll turn it over to you for anything before we adjourn this portion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we do, thank you, Greg, for allowing us the opportunity to update you about January. I know when we talked last week, we didn't really have anything specific, but we do now anticipate that we'll have at least a couple variances. And then the other important item that we'll be looking to schedule is on October 7th, the Public Works Planning and Transportation Committee took committee action directing the ZBA to hold a public hearing on amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance to update or include amendments that have been recently made to the WDO, the Watershed Development Ordinance. So that will be what we're working on getting the details finalized for that. So be on the lookout for that special hearing.
Sounds good. Do we have any dates set for any of the other hearings for sure yet, or nothing yet?
The variance cases would just be held on the normal. I know Brad's still working on, he'll be getting the entire schedule for 2021 finalized in the next couple of weeks. So we have that ready to go by January, but the variance cases would be held on the second and fourth Thursdays as normal. And then the amendments hearing, we would have a special, probably in the afternoon, a special hearing.
Perfect. Sounds good on that. And then for the newer board members too, if you ever know that you're going to be out of town or you've got a conflict, just email Brad. Especially scheduling when we're looking at the Unified Development Ordinance changes. Just let them know what days are bad for you, and they always do a good job trying to schedule around those. So that helps them. Well, any of the board members? Hearing none, before we let you go, thank you all for a good year. It's been interesting and fun via Zoom. John, we're glad you figured it out here on this last one. You did a good job. And the
I'm
staff,
a little disappointed. I didn't get my picture up there. I put a clean shirt on and everything.
One day. And thanks to staff for getting us through this Zoom process throughout the year as well. It was appreciated. You did a great job. I know we have a busy 2021 coming up, so we will stay in the loop, and I know you'll keep us in the loop as well. So thanks to all of you, but wishing you all happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and stay healthy and happy.
Mr. Chairman, you want to formally
And to you as well.
portion of the meeting?
We'll need a motion to adjourn then if someone would make that.
I'll so move.
Second.
First from Marv, second from Linda. Any discussion? Brad, a roll call to keep it official.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
member Starkey,
Aye.
member Hockney,
Aye.
member Rindle,
Aye.
member Roche,
Aye.
Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
This portion of the meeting is adjourned.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. Staff, I'll stick on for the next minor deviation. The rest
Happy
of you.
holidays, everybody. Stay well.
Take care.
Same to you, Dennis.
Eric, just to be, can you, because we have actually adjourned that and we're going into a different hearing, can you please read the prelude?
Okay.
Thank you. I know we had talked about that earlier, but I'm switching gears on you.
Look,
you want
I
me to
even
read?
crossed it off.
Yeah. You want me to-
Read through your X's.
Does Greg have to reread his?
I think so, huh?
Maybe an amended version or abbreviated version.
That'll work. Are we waiting on that? Are they on the line already?
The applicant is on the line, yes.
Okay, cool. If we are good with that, then we'll go ahead and start this case at 10:12. Call the meeting to order of December 10th, 2020 at 12. Once again, pursuant to Section 70 of the Open Meetings Act and the November 13th, 2020 disaster proclamation and written determination of the Zoning Board of Appeals Chair, the public hearing can be held by audio-video conference without a physical quorum. Due to public health concerns, this hearing is being held via video conference. All interested parties were given the opportunity to participate and be heard today. The hearing is being recorded and live streamed at lakecounty.gov/watch-ZBA to allow members of the public to participate. Also in presence, facilities are available at the Permit Center, 500 West Winchester Road. As a reminder, if you want to speak, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. We'll dispense with the pledge, roll call. This only has to be heard by myself since it's a minor variation. Applicant, I don't know if you were on before, but since it's a new hearing, we'll just do it again for staff and the applicant. If you raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sounds good. Evidence today will be presented from both the petitioner and anything from staff, and any comments that were germane to the topic were submitted or can be submitted at this time. So with that, I will turn it over to staff for the presentation.
Thanks, Greg. Applicants seeking a minor variance have the burden of proving to the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals that the required standards of the Lake County Code have been met, even if there are no objections to the variance. At the conclusion of today's case, the ZBA chair must make a finding of fact identifying its reasons for granting or denying the requested variances. This hearing may be continued and without further notice on the motion of the Zoning Board of Appeals chair. If the ZBA chair does not reach a decision today, the case will be continued. Supporters and objectors should be prepared to participate in additional meetings. The ZBA chair may require the petitioner to meet certain conditions so that the use allowed by the variance will not have a negative impact on nearby properties. The applicant and public will have the opportunity to make suggestions regarding appropriate conditions. If you would like to speak, please indicate by using the raise hand feature or typing your request in the chat box. Staff will call your name at the appropriate time during the ZBA meeting. Once your name is called, you must identify yourself for the public record and then address remarks to the ZBA chair, applicant, or PB&D staff. Please speak clearly and try to limit remarks directly to the matter under discussion. Speakers are called in the order they made the request to speak. Please be advised the initial public participation is limited to questions of the applicant, ZBA chair, or staff. Any comments for or against will be made after the initial testimony. Additionally, there will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting for final comments. This is ZBA case 000-589-2020, and it's a variation request to reduce the street yard setback from 50 feet to 42.6 feet to construct a canopy. The applicant is AMERCO Real Estate Company, who are the record owners. The property address is 14045 West Rockland Road, Libertyville, Illinois, and is approximately 3.21 acres and is a conforming lot in the limited industrial zoning district. The legal notice for the case was published in the Daily Herald on November 12, 2020, and posted on the county website. Correspondence about the case has been received from the Lake County Divisions of Engineering, Building, and Public Works. Today's representative is Dave Herdia of B&C Enterprises. He'll be presenting the application today. And for the record, the original application is on file in the Zoning Board of Appeals office, and a copy of the applicant's original application deed was provided to the ZBA board members prior to the hearing and made available for public view on the county website under the ZBA agenda for this meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you. Mr. Herdia, are you there? Am I pronouncing it right? Dave, can you hear us?
You'll need to unmute Dave, *6, I think.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now.
There you are. We can hear you. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead and just give a little rundown of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And
Yeah, so we'd like to install a canopy. The purpose of this canopy is to act as a directional beacon for returning trucks. So instead of a customer coming onto the property and parking the return truck in the access way or just anywhere, this is kind of allows them to have a spot to aim for. They can park the truck can then be checked in, and the employee and the customer are kind of protected from the weather a little bit. Since there is no pull-in garage in here for any rental trucks. The other issue is that the main entrance is kind of on the side of the property, and then there's really no other place for this canopy to go that would make logical sense for its purpose. And the building is only 66.7 feet or 66 feet and 7 inches off of the property line. So for us to do a 20-foot canopy in any other location, we'd still need a variance.
sounds good. Testimony makes sense. I went out to the site to take a look at it, and you are correct. I didn't know you did a variance everywhere else too, it looked like. So with that, I don't have any issues with it. Staff, any other comments that you might have?
No, I don't have any additional comments, Greg.
Sounds good. I guess I will, I've not done a minor like this. Just go ahead and grant the approval at this time.
Right. Close testimony. You got to do all that.
Good. I'll close testimony and I vote to close it. Don't have any other questions, and I will I just make a motion to approve the request to reduce the setback from Rockland Road from 50 feet to 42.6 feet to construct a canopy. It does meet the standards, and it'd be based on the site plan as presented today by the petitioner. And I vote in favor. That sounds good, and that works for staff. Mr. Herdia, any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
Sounds good. Staff, I think you've got everything you need there. Then I will move to adjourn this meeting for ZBA case 589-2020, the last hearing of 2020.
Woohoo!
Good job. Good. Thanks, Mr. Herdia. Good luck. Reach out to staff if you need anything, and they'll contact you as well.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Staff, thank you. A good morning of meetings. If you need anything from me, I might head out of town a little bit next week, but otherwise I'll be around right after the holiday and before the holiday too. So thank you guys for all you do. Appreciate it. I know it's been fun via Zoom, and thank you, John, to get those going too, but appreciate all the work you guys do each and every day for us.